Hello, my name is Peter Bringe. I am the pastor of Covenant Family Church. In the book of Philippians, in chapter 3, the Apostle Paul refers to the fact that the citizenship of Christians is in heaven. And this is actually the second time in that book where he uses that analogy. He says in chapter 1 that we should live as citizens of the gospel of Christ. Although it's usually translated, let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Christ. But the same Greek root there is used, alluding to the fact that citizens lived a certain way and that they would live to honor their country, not to disgrace it by their actions. And I think this gets at really Paul's point in using the analogy of our citizenship in heaven. Usually that term is taken to refer to the fact that this world is not our home, I'm just a passing through, that we don't belong here, more about our location. But I believe Paul is speaking more about our identity and our way of life and the source of our hope. See, the Philippians understood the analogy of citizenship. Philippi, the city that Paul is writing to, was a Roman colony. They were very loyal to Rome, as Paul found out when he went to their city. That's where he called attention to his Roman citizenship, in fact. Well, they understood that many of them were Roman citizens living in a foreign country. They had their own way of life. They knew that they came from that capital city in Rome. That's where their king was. That's where their ruler and protection was. But they weren't really planning on going back there. That wasn't the point of calling Rome their home. Rather, the point was bringing Rome to Philippi, to be a colony of Rome there in another land. And so this analogy of citizenship would have meant something different to those who lived in Philippi. They were to live as citizens of heaven, Christians that is, that they were to live the way of life of heaven, that they knew that their hope resided in heaven, the Lord Jesus Christ. He was seated there in heaven. They would know to pray that God's kingdom come and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. They knew that Jesus would come back from heaven to earth, raise them up from the dead. And as Revelation 21 will say, that the new Jerusalem comes down out of heaven to earth, and that God dwells with us here in the new heavens and the new earth. So the point is not that this earth, this creation, is not our home, but rather that the fallen world around us of lust and pride, that is not our home. Rather, we are citizens in another kingdom, in another realm that has a different way of life and a different source of hope. And so the church then is called to be a light to the world, a city set upon a hill, a colony of heaven built upon the gospel of Christ, shedding its light in a world that is dark.